So many things to speak about, Lord Krishna. Last night we began talking about beautiful pastimes of Krishna, and we let the audience bring forth beautiful pastimes that came to their hearts and minds. We talked about how Krishna accepted the letter of Rukmini very sweetly, that she petitioned him. We spoke about how Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill to protect his devotees. We spoke about how Krishna was bound by the love of his mother. We spoke about so many sweet pastimes. We also spoke about how Krishna brought a whole tree of heavenly flowers to plant in the courtyard of his dear wife Satyabhama, and how he fought the whole host of demigods. Such a personality. All right. I can speak louder too. Happy birthday. Jai. Our Lord, our Krishna, he's called Lila Purushottama, the Supreme Personality who is famous for his exploits, his lila, his pastimes. They cover so many beautiful experiences, moods, but especially they're renowned for his love, his sweetness. You see, his wife Satyabhama was feeling a little bit jealous that he had given his other queen, Rukmini, a beautiful flower from heaven, the parijat flower, and she was sulking. So he said, no problem. God has enough for everyone. So he said, I'll go to heaven. So this was a flower that only appears in heaven. And the sage who has the power to enter those realms had gone to the heavens and begged a flower to give Krishna. And in front of all of Krishna's beloveds, he had asked him, choose your favorite queen and give her the flower. And Krishna was having an assembly with everyone. So he gave to Rukmini, and then Satyabhama became sulky, and she went and hid and took off all her ornaments. She had her own room where she could be sulky. And she would not speak with Krishna, and Krishna said, don't worry, I gave Rukmini one flower, I'll go to heaven and bring you a whole tree. Then she will be jealous of you. So he went to heaven and he uprooted a beautiful tree of parijat flowers. Their fragrance is intoxicating. Flowers have some power, potency. People think flowers, they have power. We talk about flower power, yes? Am I right? Right? So flowers have great power. I know growing up in California in the foothills, the Sierra Nevadas, at a certain season, the certain flower would bloom. All the hills would become covered with these flowers because there's so many trees of these flowers. And all the honey keepers, beekeepers, would have to protect their bees because otherwise they would be so drunk and intoxicated by these flowers that they would lose their direction to even be able to go home. So for a few weeks at a time, all the protectors of the honeybees would have to safeguard them from this intoxicating fragrance of this flower that would surround all throughout the hills. Gurudev would usually come during that time. And as you would come through the windy hills of our beautiful little town called Badger, and we would bring Gurudev from San Francisco or from LA, but as we would get within an hour and a half, and you climb up the mountain, you can smell the atmosphere. It's like you enter a different planet. You enter a different dimension, and the intoxicating fragrance of these flowers that drives the bees mad. Then we mortals, human beings, we would smell it and think, wow, beautiful. So you imagine the fragrance of the flower in heaven and a tree of these flowers that does not bloom on earth. So Krishna is so there's one term for Krishna called Dir Lalit Nayaka. That means he loves to please his beloveds and he becomes subordinate to them. And he's very charming, but he is God who cannot be conquered by any material power. Right? Any demon was never able to conquer him. But the love of his beloveds completely conquers him. It's described in our scripture that one aspect of God people go towards is the impersonal. It's spoken in the Gita, the Brahman, the impersonal energy field emanating from the transcendental realm, which is coming from the source of God. And that God is impersonal. You cannot see the form, then you cannot see the beauty, then you cannot smell the fragrance. But when does the personal form of God appear? Because in the scriptures it said God has a personal form and an impersonal form. Where is the personal form of Godhead present? Wherever those who have love for him are present, who call to him to be in a relationship in that personal way, he is present in that personal form. And it's described that the mood of God is, if he sees a soul having that love and desire for a relationship of love, then his heart melts and he desires to fulfill the desire. He desires to fulfill your heart's yearning for that relationship. Then he is called an ocean of mercy. And that with that ocean of affection, ocean of mercy, where does an ocean of mercy come from? Like we talk about an ocean of mercy. What is the source of the ocean of mercy? It's called love and affection. That's the source of mercy. So Krishna, if you can imagine the concentrated form of all love and affection, which manifests as an ocean of mercy, seeing the mood of his devotees, he tells his queen, I will bring you a whole tree from heaven and plant it in your garden. And he went and he fought all the demigods, went through a great ordeal and brought it back and planted it in her garden. So we heard about this story last night. But I want to start with this idea now. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. Why is Krishna blue? All right, we've been talking about it. Right? Why is Krishna blue? So one of the reasons we hear is that God appears in many incarnations and in many hues. Sometimes he's of a darkish, reddish hue, sometimes golden, sometimes whitish, in different ages, according to different needs, according to different moods. In the highest reality of the personal form of Godhead, it's based on mood. And it's said that Krishna is that mood of pure desire to please his beloveds. And when his heart is pulling in that way, then he appears in this very beautiful bluish color of the rain clouds. So that the hearts of those souls who have been burning in the desert of separation from him and have been praying for his association, for like it seems to them to be time without beginning, then Krishna appears to them in that form, and he is soothing and beautiful. As you see, like you imagine some places that they have not had rain for years and years and years, and they're praying for rain, and it's a dry desert. And then when they first hear the sound of thunder and they see the rain clouds come and the beauty of that richness of color of the rain cloud, so Krishna appears like that. And the rain cloud, what is it signifying? It's pregnant, it's full of that mood of love, of generosity, of desire to give. And so what is Krishna doing in his beautiful complexion? He's showering his love And all those personalities who have been yearning and praying for a relationship with God in that way. And why is he so rich in that blue color? Because it's an endless ocean of love, of mercy stored there. Our Gurudev says that Krishna's beauty is so great that a drop of his beauty is enough to drown the whole world. This is his beauty. It's said the greatest quality of Krishna is his beauty. The highest quality of God is his beauty. And what is the source of that beauty? That he is in a reciprocal relationship of prem, divine love, with all his devotees, showering that love and affection so that everyone's hearts that have been thirsty for that. Our Gurudev would say the deepest need for any living entity, not just a human being, for any creature, the deepest need is for that relationship of love. And when we have exhausted all our attempts to find the perfect love in material existence, and we begin to call out to God for that mood and have that desire, then he will accept, and he appears in that form. That rain of love that is endless, that drowns the whole world in ecstasy. That is Krishna. So Krishna appeared in the beautiful land Vrindavan, and that rain of his love and affection showered Vrindavan. What is Vrindavan? Vrindavan is that place where the personal relationship with God is perfectly facilitated. That is Vrindavan. In all manners of the heart's innermost desire. If you look at people in this world, right? There's different kinds of relationships you can have. You can have a relationship with a boss. Is that the best kind of relationship? Right? If you were to churn the ocean of relationships in this world to extract the cream, and then you take that cream and churn it to extract the essence of the best relationship in all existence, what do you have? Boss. God is your boss. Yes? This is the highest relationship. And we are eternal servants. And he is our eternal master. What other kinds of relationships do we have? Here we have beautiful relationships of mother with children. It's a pretty high bar. So we see Krishna in the relationship of love with his mother. Our Gurudev would say a story that one time in the spiritual world, everything is conscious. Even in this world, almost everything has potential for consciousness. It's either stunted, we say even stones. Sometimes souls get trapped in a stone and they lose their consciousness. But existence, reality, is the field for consciousness to play. All of existence is the field for the play of consciousness in all its forms. But in the spiritual reality, the consciousness is not stunted, it's not covered, it's fully blossomed. So in that reality, there is a pot of milk. And Krishna's mother had set the pot of milk to boil so that she could transform that milk into beautiful sweets for her son. We have beautiful sweets, Indian culture. We have sweets like you cannot find anywhere else. Every region has their own variety, and there are endless varieties of the varieties of sweets you can make. But that milk in its conscious state, as spiritual consciousness, what happens with the divine beings is that they can manifest into forms according to their desires to be with Krishna. So you imagine you want to be with Krishna in the form of a sweet. Right? Wouldn't that be nice? What do you think? So, that personified form of the milk is thinking, I want to be with Krishna in that very romantic way, but I am watching him sitting with his mother. as a little baby, infant Krishna, 1-year-old Krishna, and he is very happily drinking her breast milk. And she is very happily giving her breast milk. And the milk is also a realized soul, very exalted. So it understands that Krishna's mother's love in the form of her milk for him is endless. Our Gurudev would say all milk comes from Mother Yashoda. Krishna's mother is the source of all that motherly affection that manifests in the form of milk. And so that separated part of milk in the pot is thinking, what hope is there for me? Baby Krishna is under the shawl of his mother, and he is very happily drinking her breast milk. Ecstatic. Why? He is fulfilling his purpose. That bluish, beautiful form of Krishna is showering his love in that relationship of love with his mother. And she is experiencing his love in the form of as a soul. It said that every soul's nature is to be with God, to love God, to serve God. That's their desire. The highest fulfillment is in that pure relationship of love with the Supreme. And so she's experiencing ecstasy. In our line, our teachers say that the speciality of our tradition is that it teaches about the ecstasies that you can experience and that pure relationship of love with God. How that ecstasy manifests in your internal state, in your external body, and how it is a powerful source of energy that makes you ever active and ever blissful and ever desirous of a relationship and of that experience of his Leela. We spoke about this the other night when we were talking in the Gita. That in this world people are suffering in that fire. So many fires we suffer from. Lust fire, anger fire, unsatisfaction fire. So many fires we're burning in. And people think to extinguish that fire, I have to shower in the rain of detachment. Right? Whatever fire I'm burning in life, the way to get rid of that fire is to become free of desire. And then to become free of attachment. And then to renounce everything. And then finally, after millions of years of practice of detachment, I can finally reach the culmination of that process and erase myself. When you're suffering, that sounds like a solution. Because it is in a way, right? You're burning in that fire of suffering. You think the solution is to erase the self. And we go on that path by trying to become free of desire. But in the path of bhakti, in the Gita, Krishna says there's another way. That fire that is burning you, that causes desire, that transforms into anger when the desires are not satisfied. There's another way. That is called bhakti ras. That one drop of that rain of mercy from the beauty of Sri Krishna can put out millions and millions of those fires in the hearts of millions and millions of souls. Such is his potency. He is Bhagavan, the Supreme. It said that his nature is agatana gatana patiyashi shakti. That personality who has the power to make what is impossible possible by his mere will. That is Krishna. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm starting to speak intensely, yeah? Take a Purnima break. Sai Purnima. Haribo. So, Mother Yashoda is sitting with Krishna. Krishna is drinking her milk. So the point I'm making is that Krishna says in the Gita, the method of bhakti to overcome the suffering of the fire of material desire is to taste one drop of that nectar of divine bliss in your relationship with Krishna. That's the remedy. You imagine one drop of the bliss, of that nectar, of the relationship with Krishna, who is the incarnation, the Supreme Lord, the highest of all personalities of Godhead, whose only purpose is to drown his devotees with ecstasy in the relationship of love with him. One drop of that love, that relationship, at once extinguishes the fire. You can sit here or to the room, no problem. So जाएंगे? ठीक है, राधे राधे. Intermission. इनको लेके चलिए, ठीक है? आप रहेंगे? ठीक है. So, one drop of that puts out all fire of desire. But then, that same drop awakens new desire. And now that desire is also a fire, but it's cooling and burning at the same time. And what is that fire? Like, for example, the sage Nada, the one who gave the flower to Krishna. When he was a little boy, he had the company of great sages. And by their association, their mercy, he got a mantra. And chanting that mantra, he saw Krishna for a few moments. He saw Krishna. And he experienced the bliss and the beauty and the love of that vision of Krishna. And he could not tolerate a moment without it. And he said, Krishna, now how can I live? You've shown me your face for a few brief moments. Krishna told him, while you're still in this material body, you cannot see me permanently. You're still covered by matter. I am transcendental. To see me ultimately, eternally, incessantly, you need transcendental form. That's why we say you must become godly to always see God. So the one drop of that one moment of vision of Krishna, all material disturbance is gone. But now, what is the condition? A moment in separation from my beloved Krishna. You know, like if you're in a desert and one drop comes, then you want more. So Narad was thinking, oh Krishna, how can I live without your vision, your darshan? And Krishna said, don't worry. Live this life singing my names, helping people in the world come closer to God. And I promise you, when you give up this body, you will achieve transcendental form in which you can always see me, you can always be with me, there will be no separation. So Mother Yashoda is sitting with Krishna. And Krishna's desire to taste her love is infinite. Her desire to taste the love that Krishna is experiencing is infinite. Her desire to serve Krishna in that form is infinite. His desire to relish that love is infinite. And her expansion, that little pot of milk on the stove, is thinking, what is the use of my life? It began to boil over. So this is the love of mother and son in the form of God. Our Gurudev would say, Guru is someone who has so much compassion and mercy, like Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda never wanted to separate from Krishna, but she saw the milk, and the first drops of milk were jumping into the fire. What do we think? If I do not have his association, what should I do? What is the use of my life? I'll go back into the fire. So it was jumping. Mother Yashoda immediately placed Krishna down. Krishna began to cry. But she immediately placed Krishna down and went and saved the milk. Our Gurudev would say, the transcendental Guru, who is the pure associate of Krishna, who comes to this world, they have so much mercy like Mother Yashoda that they will even leave Krishna's association to save any soul who is yearning for a relationship of love with Krishna. That is their mood. So it's a beautiful relationship, yes? The relationship, the purest form of the relationship between mother and child. Very beautiful relationship. In this relationship of mother and child, even though she saw Krishna, that he is God, in different examples, in different pastimes, her mood of sweetness and love for him overpowered any sense of his majesty. You understand? Krishna is God. Millions of universes are created by him in a moment. And when he opened his mouth, we heard this story last night, Krishna opened his mouth. She wanted to see if he had eaten clay. And inside of his mouth, Mother Yashoda saw millions of universes. And then she saw one universe, then she saw this galaxy, then she saw this earth, then she saw this land that she was sitting in with her son, and she saw herself with her son, and then everything else disappeared. And then she came back into that experience that, why should I look inside the mouth of God and see myself with God when I can be here physically with him? Right? You can look inside his mouth and see all existences within God. Nothing is outside of him. We sang that song before class. Jaga bahir nahi muichar. Nothing is outside of him. And so when she looked inside his mouth, she saw everything. But as she focused, she saw herself with him. Perfection. I don't need to be into that cosmic fractal reality when I can just be here in this relationship, in this moment now. Very beautiful relationship. So our Gurudev would say that the relationship of Krishna with his mother, the relationship of Krishna with his close friends, and the relationship of Krishna with his beloveds, Sri Radha and all her expansions, all the gopis, this is Krishna, what he came to give. Krishna is famous for killing many demons. But our scriptures don't say that Krishna directly killed the demons, because that's not the ultimate reason for his advent. So our scriptures say, actually, Krishna directly is not killing any demon. Krishna is not here just to wipe out the demonic forces. That function is done through his Vishnu incarnation, his Vishnu form. In our philosophy, Krishna is the source even of Vishnu. And Vishnu is killing the demons and creating the world and maintaining the world through Brahma, through Rudra and so forth. And then all the demigods are also his expansions. But Krishna himself, his ultimate purpose is not to destroy the demons. He was doing it from childhood. Putana, Trinavarta, Bhakasura, Agasura, Kali, and so on and so forth. But his ultimate purpose is that to experience that relationship of pure love with the devotees. That's why he's blue. Right? Other incarnations, red, fight, destroy. But Krishna is of that color to shower that love on all beings who are yearning for that, who are thirsty for that, who are praying for that. We also hear about Madhurya Rasa. Madhurya means, especially Krishna's focus is that the highest relationship we find in existence is that relationship of lover and beloved in its ultimate, highest form, transcendental form. The transcendental form of a pure relationship of love between lover and lover is the most intimate form of love possible. So when we talked about the other side, which is if you could extract the essence of all relationships, and you come up with what? Boss, master, servant. Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna's incarnation, said, I have not come to teach that, I have not come to bestow that. Everyone in the world is worshipping with awe and reverence. O Lord, O God, I am small, you are great. But Krishna says, I only yearn for that intimate relationship of personal love with my friends, with my family members, with my beloveds, with my Shri Radha. That's our line. That is what we worship. Our Gurudev came and he said, I want to explain, what are we worshipping here? Right? We don't have a deity of Yashoda and Krishna, but that relationship is very beautiful, very high. We have baby Krishnas here, but especially the love of Radha and Krishna and the chance to enter into that service and that relationship with them is the special reason for the advent of Krishna. Gurudev would say especially these three moods, these three kinds of relationship. The love he has with his mother, with his parents, the love he has with his friends, and with his beloved Sri Radha and all her expansions. It is for this reason he came. And he said, to help attract souls into this, I perform wonderful pastimes. Last night, Vrindavan asked about rasa dance. I said, we didn't have time last night. We also don't have time tonight. But it's a very beautiful pastime. So Krishna performed these beautiful pastimes. For 10 years in Vrindavan. We're ready for intermission for kirtan break in a minute here, okay? We'll have a kirtan break, then we'll continue class, yes? Because we have to go for a couple of hours still. All right? Ready for intermission? Kids are ready for intermission. Yes? So we'll leave it at that. What is Madhurya Rasa? We'll leave it at that. Gaur Premanandi.